The FBI's search of Donald Trump's golf resort has been overshadowing what's shaping up to be a banner week for Democrats. Earlier today, President Joe Biden signed a major manufacturing bill into law in a ceremony on the White House South Lawn, praising House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Leader Chuck Schumer for helping get it passed. The $280 billion package includes tens of billions of dollars to bolster the semiconductor industry here in the United States, an investment that'll go a long way in helping U.S. manufacturers build chips that power everything from smartphones to cars. A few hours later, President Biden was in the East Room of the White House signing documents that will bring Sweden and Finland closer to joining NATO. This all follows the Senate's near unanimous vote to approve their membership to the alliance, a vote that exceeded the two-thirds support needed. And the victory lap isn't over yet, as Biden pointed out earlier today.
I hope to be signing the Inflation Reduction Act into law that's going to lower the cost of health care and energy and make historic investments to tackle climate crisis.
That bill could head to the president's desk as soon as Friday. Now, that historic legislation is the much smaller version of President Biden's landmark Build Back Better bill, but major pieces of that original legislation exist in this new bill. That legislation was the result of hard negotiations by the leader of the Progressive Caucus, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. She held the line when parts of that monumental legislation were on the chopping block. So it's worth hearing from her about what she thinks of the Inflation Reduction Act and what's been left out of it. Joining us now is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington. She's the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, member of the House Budget Committee. Congresswoman, good to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Ali, it's always great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Look, you have long struggled to get progressive priorities into this sort of bill, back when it was the other bill that we were talking about and now this one. Some of your progressive colleagues have argued that this is baby steps. It's not 100% of where you wanted to be in any particular place. How do you characterize it?
Well, Ali, first of all, I'm really proud of the Progressive Caucus for holding the line, as you said, because if you remember, when the infrastructure bill came over to us, there was no Build Back Better Act. There were no negotiations, and there was no legislation passed through the House. And what you are seeing today, the Reduction Act, is significant in this bill. And I will tell you that while I am heartbroken for the pieces that aren't in it, this is a massive step forward. And it is a massive step forward in a couple of ways. First, it is really the biggest investment that we've ever had in reducing carbon emissions, 40% by 2030. And that is net of some bad provisions that we don't particularly like that are in the bill. Second, it is a really cost-cutting measure, because not only are we bringing energy costs down about $1,000 a year for an average American family on energy cost reduction, but also healthcare costs. We're continuing the healthcare subsidies. And for the first time, Ali, not enough for me, but we are going to get a toe in the door of taking on big pharma and price gouging and allowing Medicare to negotiate a small set of drugs, admittedly, but still a beginning to really taking on big pharma. And third, this is about finally getting the wealthiest corporations and the wealthiest individuals to pay their fair share. It's a beginning. 15% minimum tax, including for large corporations like Amazon right here in my home district. Everyone should pay their fair share. And so I think on all three of those counts, this is lowering costs, investing and bringing us forward on addressing climate change. $60 billion, by the way, in environmental justice in this bill, and of course in making the wealthiest pay their fair share. All big progressive priorities.
Now, you managed to get the two recalcitrant Democratic senators to not only sign on, but in the case of Joe Manchin, be active in the formation of this bill, obviously in exchange for some things that he wanted done and Kyrsten Sinema wanted done. But when you look at the example of that, the politics involved in getting this bill done, it took months to do it. Is there some likelihood that the things that you're not happy about that didn't get in there, is there some likelihood about building consensus to get more of that done during your term?
Well, I think that it's probably unlikely that we're going to get more legislation done, as much as I would like to see that happen. The pieces of the bill that I'm heartbroken about that we're not passing are, of course, the investments in the care economy, which would help bring women back into the workforce. But what I would say to people across this country who are, impatient that we haven't gotten that done, is that we made a giant step forward in drafting the language and getting the consensus for 99% of the Democratic Party to be on board for universal childcare, universal pre-K, investments in housing, covering dental, vision, and hearing benefits for Medicare. And so all we need to do, Allie, is now get a couple more people, a couple more Democrats in the Senate who are on the president's economic agenda, and then we can pass it very quickly. In the meantime, we have an executive action slate that includes canceling student debt, that includes, raising the overtime threshold so that millions of workers can get a pay raise, and many other things around abortion, the Dobbs decision. And we're going to push on the executive branch to make sure the president is using every tool in his toolbox.
What happened on insulin? I can't get my head around what happened there. There was legislation that made a lot of sense to limit how much people pay for insulin, which is a very old drug upon which the patent has run out a long time ago. I don't understand that.
This is absolute heresy in my mind, because we had a provision, Democrats did, to cap the price of insulin at $35, not only for Medicare recipients, but for anyone on private insurance as well. That, of course, is a much, much larger group of people who would see the cost of insulin come down. And the Republicans refused to go along with the provision to extend that cap on insulin to a larger group of people. Now, of course, I should remind everyone that not a single Republican voted for any of this. Not a single Republican wants to cut healthcare costs for Americans or energy costs for Americans or take on climate change. This was passed on a Democratic-only vote, but it is particularly galling to see Republicans vote against. And I should say, I think there were 6 or 7 that voted with Democrats on this, but the vast majority of Republicans voted against capping the cost of insulin. That was just cruel, in my view, to all the people out there who are suffering with this high cost of insulin and price gouging.
And millions of people. It's one of the most common afflictions in the United States. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thank you for the work that you did on this. Washington Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. We appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you, Allie.